If we were to turn that table to its side, we will get what's called a place value chart. Have you ever seen the place value chart before? What you'll notice with this place value chart is that at the very top, you will see the bases written in blue. In the middle, you'll see the names, and at the very bottom, the numbers. They are directly corresponding to each other and in a sense are equivalent. And so you see 10 to the power of 1 is the same as 10 in words, and 10 is a number at the bottom. 10 to the power of 2 is the hundreds place, and 100 written at the bottom. But notice that the ones place has no base 10 written above. And as we learned previously, every number can be written within one of the base 10 regions. So how would we write number 1 in terms of a base 10? If we look at the patterns that we had before, each power directly associated with the amount of zeros after the 1. If the number 1 has no zeros, can you guess how we can write it as a base 10? If you said base 10 to the power of 0, you are correct. Now, what simple statement can we make regarding how each of the columns increase in value? As you see down below, as you increase the value, each column in the grid represents a multiple of 10. So if you turn the page now to your second page at the very top, number 6, you will see some arrows and lines on top so that you can fill in the number. Notice that you will put in times 10. Each time you go over a place value, you're multiplying by 10. So if you were to start this over, 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. But notice now how many 10s you have. You have 10 to the power of 3, or 3 tens. And again, look at how many zeros follow the 1. 1,000. If you times by another 10, you now have 4 tens, or base 10 to the power of 4. As a number, 1 followed by 4 zeros. On your chart, the two numbers at the bottom are not written. Go ahead and fill in 1 million as a number and 10 million as a number. Do you remember this number at the very beginning? That was 3,508,725. But how do we know to say this number correctly? Well, we can use the place value chart to help us. How could we write it into the place value chart? Well, we put them in the order as the numbers are written. And the way to say the number is directly associated to its position in the place value. So to start off the number, notice that the 3 is in the 1 millionth place. So that number is simply read 3 million. The next digit is 5, and the 5 is in the 100,000th position. So we say 500,000. There's a 0 in the 10,000s and 8 in the thousands. Now, some students have tried to say 500,000, 8,000. Well, the way that we actually do that is if a number ends with the same name, such as thousands, we will say it all as one. So instead of saying 500,000, 8,000, we say it all together as 508,000. The next number is 7, and it's in the hundreds place. 2 is in the tens, and remember, when we go by tens, we say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So 2 in the tens place would mean 20. And then 5 is in the ones. So the way we say the number, simply look at each place value, 3,508,725 by order. Now notice I did not say the word and. We will learn when we say the word and. Sometimes people like to say 3,508,000, but that's not technically correct. So we will learn in the next video when to actually say the word and. Now if you look at your number 7, you will see a very similar chart there. Go ahead and put in that number in the first row of your chart. For number 8, you will see that it has A, B, and C there, and number 8 is simply prompting you to write in these numbers on your chart for number 7. Go ahead and do that, and you can pause the video to see if you can get the correct number. Just simply go ahead and push play. Once you put your number in there, see if you can say the number correctly. I'm going to say the numbers correctly as I put them on the screen. Notice that the 2 is in the 100,000th place, 0 is in the 10,000s, and 5 is in the thousands. So we say that all together as 1, simply as 205,000. 7 is in the hundreds place, 0 is in the tens, and 8 in the ones. So that number is simply read 205,708. Once again, remember we will not use the word and. The next number, B, is 458,401. That's because 4 is in the 100,000s place, 5 is in the 10,000s place, 8 is in the thousands, and so remember we say them all together, 458,000. 4 is in the hundreds place, 0 is in the tens, and 1 is in the ones, so that number is read 458,401. The last number that we have there, notice that the 7 will be in the 10 millions position. 2 is in the 1 millionth position. So because they both end with million, we say them together as simply 72 million. 6 is in the 100,000s position. 4 is in the 10,000s position. 9 is in the thousands, so we say them all together as well as 649,000. 0 is in the 100s. 1 is in the tens place, and 7 is in the ones position. So those last two digits will say 17. So altogether, this number is 72,649,017. Now go ahead and try the additional materials. That is the quiz that covers the material that we went over, and the appropriate worksheets that go along with this video. In the next video, we'll talk about the smaller decimal numbers, numbers between 0 and 1, and numbers in between the whole numbers. We will also look how we can actually say those numbers correctly. All right, see you in the next video.